Today's class is how to influence your spouse, how to get your spouse to be with you on the same parenting page. That is what we are doing this month, Family United. I hope you've been carrying out our activities that are designed to help us bond, to help us stay united as a family. The truth of the matter is, as parents, you may not understand it now, but when you get older, like when your kids get older, that is when we begin to realize the impact of not having a united family. I'm talking about this from experience, and I've been privileged to talk to families, a couple of people who say, oh, my families, we are not united, we are so disunited and all of that, and the parents are the ones that usually suffer it. You and I, the parents. So everything we are doing this month as a visionary parent, I expect you to take it seriously, especially if one of your goals, one of your vision is to have a united family at the end of the day. That's one of my visions, to have my family come together during holiday, everyone come home, we have a yearly reunion, fun, and all of that. So today is how to get your spouse to be with you on the same page, how to influence your spouse. Now, sometime last year, there was a woman on Facebook that kind of cried out. She said she was asking how she could help her children on watch the particular video. I think porn video they watched. What happened was, against her argument, her husband went ahead to give the children a mobile phone. As if that was not enough, he allowed them access to the family Wi-Fi, and the children, one of those days, they caught them watching inappropriate movies. And guess what? The man turned back again and blamed him. Sorry, and blamed her for not monitoring what the children were watching. Are you kidding me? I remember another parent also asked a question that her husband's friend, a particular friend of her husband, always comes around and addresses her daughter as my wife. She's not comfortable with it, but her husband thinks, oh, she's overreacting and all of that. Now, these are signs that you and your spouse are not on the same page. In fact, many arguments couples have, very many arguments couples have, is only a sign that they are not on the same page. Now, when we talk about the same page, we are focusing on parenting. Yes, even in parenting, there are different aspects to it. You and your spouse, you need to be on the same page in the key areas when it comes to parenting, when it comes to finances, when it comes to education, when it comes to fun, it comes to spirituality, discipline. There are so many areas that spouses are not on the same page. You look at that as we progress. So things you are going to learn in this class is signs that you and your spouse are not on the same page when it comes to parenting, the effect of not being on the same page and how to be on the same page, or better still, how to influence your spouse. Okay, these are some of the things you are going to learn: the effect of not being on the same page and how to influence your spouse to be on the same page with you. Now, before I go on, if you are a visionary parent, well done. Thank you for making it to the class. Yeah, I know we are starting late because we had a lot of conversations in the WhatsApp group. Um, let me know if you're a visionary parent. I'll appreciate that. If you're not a visionary parent, this is free. Like I told the visionary parents, you can invite your friends and everyone to join us in this life. This is an open life for the public. Yes, once in a while we do things, not once in a while, very often we actually like have an open class, and this is one of our open classes because we actually want to benefit everyone if we aside also. This is parenting with Enime Orebo. Do well to subscribe to this channel because we always have amazing resources for you. Check and see what we have there. You are going to be highly impacted by going through our channel. And also leave a comment. If you join me live, leave a comment. If you see the video after the live, also leave a comment. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask, and do well to share. Yes, share. This is an open class, so share. Just copy the link and share to your friends, share to your school group, share to people you know will actually need this information. They will value it. So let's go. Let's start with signs that you and your spouse are not on the same page. One is frequent argument or disagreement. Yes, you are always disagreeing. Another thing is inconsistent discipline. That is one major thing to show that you and your spouse are not on the same page. Oh, you talk about no flogging, no. you don't want to flog your child, and your spouse believes that, oh, he has to flog, it shows that you are not on the same page. Another thing to show that you are not on the same page is you have different priorities. I remember earlier this year, okay, last year, when I was looking for a school for my children in Delta State, Agbo, excuse me, where we currently reside. I went to a school, and a mom was there, and she was telling the school, the bursar, that okay, the bursar should remove some amount of the money from the total bill. She told the bursar, I don't remember how much now. She told the bursar to reduce it and to give her two bills. One she's going to send to her husband, which is the lesser one. The higher one is the real bill. Then she's going to make up for the differences, and for the difference, that if her husband knew the amount, that the actual amount the school um that she was going to pay to register her child, her husband will say no to that school. But she likes the school a great deal, and she wants her child to be in that school. That is a clear sign that you are not on the same page with your spouse. Both of you don't have the same priorities. I also remember a trendy topic one time, a trendy story one time, of a woman whose husband gave her money to go to register the children for holiday school, and she went ahead to use the money to buy Brazilian hair or something, and had her children not attend lesson. Instead, her children were, every afternoon she would take her children to her friend's house to go and be playing and all of that. It shows that you and your spouse are not on the same page, because you don't have the same priorities. Another major reason to show that you and your spouse are not on the same page is if you are always overwhelmed. You are burned out as the parent, especially the moms. You are overwhelmed. Even the dads. I see fathers whose wives are working. They earn some good money, but the wives, another sign to know that you and your spouse are not on the same page is when you are overwhelmed. As a woman, you are the one with all the chores in the house. You do everything. You go to work, you come back, you carry the child. You are overwhelmed, and your spouse is not lifting a finger. As a woman, it simply means that you and your spouse are not on the same page. Because if you are on the same page, your spouse should page if you are on the same page with your spouse should know that, okay, this is actually overwhelming for you, and they are going to render assistance, or any way they can do it. They should know that, okay, we're in it together. It's about you and I, so let's get it done together. Even for the men, I see a lot of people say, oh, they don't pay school fees. For example, some women, they don't pay school fees. I see some women, when they pay school fees, or we see them on social media, or hear about or read about them on social media, when they pay school fees, they go as far as telling the school that, when my husband pays you, they return my money. This shows that the wife and the husband, they are not on the same page. Because if you're on the same page, then you have the same priorities and everything. Another sign to show that you are not on the same page with your spouse is when you are making important decisions alone. You are making important decisions alone. Yes, I know that there's some decisions you don't need to you don't need to necessarily for your spouse to approve, but it doesn't mean you don't share with your spouse. Like, you change your child's school fees, you change your child's school all by yourself, or your child goes for a holiday without your spouse even being in the know. It simply shows that you are not on the same page with your spouse. Then conflicting messages, where you say one thing, your spouse says another thing, the same thing, it shows that you are not on the same page. I remember a friend of mine one time, her son was preparing for exam, and they were writing the exam, normal school exam, and then so she said, okay, sleep time is 8 o'clock. So by the time it was about that time, his friends came over, and the mom told the friends, okay, you have to go now, because he's going to study a bit for his exam, and he has exam. Okay, I think the parent told the friends, no, you don't come, don't worry, just don't come today, go, you come back another day. And because he has to study for his exam, as the friends were about leaving, at the door, the dad was coming, and dad said, oh, come on, forget exam, let's go and play game a little game won't do any harm. That was how they played game into the night. I think about 10 p.m. or even thereabout, they were still playing game. When the boy had exam the following day, the mother said, okay, you can't play games today because you have exam. But the father said, nah, it's okay, you can play, it doesn't matter. that is conflicting messages, shows that both spouses are not on the same page. Different reaction, I actually have 10 of them here, 11, so I'll just take a little different reaction when a child does something and one parent is so reactive, the other parent is taking it as okay, it's not such a big deal, and the other parent think, oh, the world has come to an end. Different reactions shows that you and your spouse are not on the same page. Let's look at some of the things parents often disagree about. Some of the things that parents often disagree about. One, discipline. Some parents will say, oh, I want to hit. The other parent will say, don't hit. One parent will say, I will starve you. I will not give you food. Another parent will say, you eat. Another parent will say, you are not going to wear this your shoes. The other parent will say, you wear it. Discipline. Screen time and technology is another one. I've seen this happen a lot of the time. The parents will say, I will let them watch television. When we were growing up, we didn't have television to watch. Now, please, because of my children, I'm buying, I'm subscribing, I join Netflix or things like that. Screen time and technology is another areas parents don't often parent on the same page. Bedtime habit, bedtime routine, another time. Some parents will say, I better let the child be. Another parent will say, no, the child needs to sleep early. Education and academic expectations, another areas where parents are not always on the same page. Now, this is why you see sometimes children they have certain grades or certain performances, and one parent feels okay, it's not all about education. Another parent is saying, no, no, today you are going to do this, and the other parent even blames. I've seen cases where the fathers blame the mothers a great deal. Say, you are not doing your part, you are not doing this, you are not doing that, because the child probably did not score well. When the mother will believe that okay, this child is talented in another area, let's focus on a particular parent will say no, it has to be education. Meal and nutrition, yes, I've seen this happen a lot of time. Parents will say no, you eat on the dining table. Parents will say minimize the snacks. Another parent will say I better let them eat the snacks, let them eat it doesn't matter. Family rules and boundaries, yes, a particular parent may feel this is too strict, they are not following the rules and boundaries, so thereby not making it consistent. Another parent will say no, this has to be this, and one parent will say it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. I've seen another one, religious and cultural practices. Yes, I've seen this case where a parent will say, I'm not raising a pastor. I did not tell you that I want my child to be a pastor. Every day, church, church, church. You go to your church and leave my child at home. I beg, what is it? And I've also seen a case where the parent will say, she or he or she doesn't like that particular church the mom is going to, so for that reason the children will not go with her to that church. Religious, I've seen that a great deal. Healthcare and medical decisions, extracurricular activities. We also know about extracurricular activities where some parents don't see the need. They don't see the need for their children to join certain extracurricular activities in school. They just feel it's a waste of money. Maybe you tell your children, okay, you join swimming, you join ballet, you join karate, coding and all of that. Some parents don't see the need for all of that. You say swimming, some parents will say, I'm gonna be paying extra 10,000 naira for swimming. That's a waste now. Even if they have the money, they will not think is important. If he's not booked, the child is going to school to read. All those other things are not, they are not important. So we have about 12 of it here. I'm going to share it with the Visionary Parents Academy. Now, factors. Let's look at the effect. Before I look at the factors, okay, let me look at the factors that contribute to spouses not being on the same page. Different upbringings, that is the major factor. One of the very major factor is upbringing. We all grew up in different homes, different environment. In fact, many of us, 90% of us, the people we ended up marrying are people we never knew from our childhood. Just a few people that knew people from their childhood they got married to. People we did not know from our childhood. So they have different upbringing altogether. A practical example would be me and my spouse. I'm from a monogamous home. Dad and mom, just one person. My dad, civil servant, director before he retired. My mom, civil servant, all of that. But my husband from a polygamous home. Then again, the father was a farmer, commercial farmer, and the mom was also a farmer, or the mom is a farmer. So you realize that we have definitely two different, we have two from two different backgrounds. So we are going to definitely have two different upbringings. We are going to be raised under two different parenting styles. It is one of the major things. I remember I have a friend, one day the husband was telling me that, was telling us, the friend and I, that, and when he was growing up like this, he's an only son. The mom, they indulge him. They didn't stop him from doing anything, anything he wanted to do. It's only for him to ask. They will allow him do everything, so what's the big deal about it? So why does he need to deny his children? He said we cannot afford it, then he will not. Otherwise, anything the children ask, he will just, because that's how he was raised. And his wife, on the other hand, is like, no, she actually is from a home of, they are large, even though it's monogamous, but they are large. And she believes that, no, you don't give a child everything a child wants because you can afford it. So different upbringing come to play when it comes to parenting. Another major big thing that comes to play in parenting on the same page we don't always pay attention to is stress, is fatigue, is stress, our mental state rather. Whether you are the spouse, you are the husband, or you are the wife, your state of mind always has a way of affecting the things you do. So if your spouse is not always on a good spot, or your spouse is overwhelmed, there's every tendency that your spouse is going to be spontaneous. Your spouse is going to be random. They are not going to be reasonable because they are overwhelmed. They are burned out. They are stressed. They are exhausted. Let's look at the woman, for example. She has a whole lot, no matter how much you have planned together, she has a whole lot. Maybe she goes to work, she comes back, goes for school runs, she has homework to do, then she has chores to do, and she is fatigued, she is stressed, no time for self-care, nothing. What do you expect? Even if she wakes up every morning and tells herself, no, I want to be intentional, I want to be reasonable, I want to react with reason and not impulse, she may not be able to achieve that except by some miracle. Why? And because she is stressed, she is fatigued, she is literally burned out. Likewise, the man, when the man is also pressured, you have a lot of things pressuring you, and the things that pressure us, really, they are not just about finances or home front. There are other things that pressure us, societal expectations. A lot of these things pressure us. So if you are one that allows yourself to you open your heart for negative energies and vibes to keep seeping in regularly, you realize that you will always be pressured, and that pressure will make you to be just random. So even when your spouse is saying A, you are not thinking, you're just saying B. Sometimes the stress will make you realize that it will make you not realize that it is not you that is talking, it's not reason, it's your ego that is talking, or it's your trauma that is talking. Stress, different parenting goals, another reason. If we don't have the same parenting goals, there's every tendency that we are not going to do the same thing. Yes. So if you don't have the same parenting goals with your spouse, there's every tendency that you are not going to do the same thing with your spouse. So when you want to raise a footballer and your spouse wants to raise a doctor, you don't have the same parenting goals. I remember once a couple, before they got married, the man was saying, no, my children, my female children, they are all only going to wear trousers. I'm sorry, they're only going to wear skirts and dresses. My female children would never wear trousers. And the man was saying, my female children will never even have dresses and skirts. All they are going to wear is trousers. And the man was like, what are you, who are you raising? Who are you raising? So when you don't have the same parenting goals, you are not going to be on the same page. Okay, let me talk about temperament last. Time together as a family. When you don't deliberately create time to bond, to be together, to be happy together as a family, it is definitely going to affect. You don't have that shared moment. So if you don't have that shared moment as a family, you are just going to be as if you are going to be lonely in your union. So it's going to affect your parenting together. Childhood trauma is one thing we can never take away from parenting. Childhood trauma. If you have not healed from your childhood trauma, there's every likelihood that it is going to affect your parenting. No, it is definitely going to affect your parenting. I remember someone, the spouse was always hard on the daughter, always hard on the daughter. One day she reached out to me. She said, as a child, she was molested. So that is why she tries to make her daughter feel free, vulnerable. She tries to make her home a safe space for the daughter. But the spouse doesn't know that. The spouse doesn't see it that way. He is too harsh on the daughter. So she was afraid that the spouse is going to push the girl away, and the girl may begin to seek love and maybe happiness or something in the wrong places. So childhood trauma is definitely, we have seen people, very many people who don't even want to give their children, oh, let my children stay with I'm going to school, when you close back, say, oh, when you close from school, let the school bus drop you at my neighbor. They say no, and the husband will say, you are the one that wants to overwhelm yourself now. You are just pressuring yourself. The school bus will drop your child at the shop, then you are running after your child, you're running after your customers and all of that. If anything happens to my child, then I will not take it from you. Because the woman has experienced abuse in her childhood, she has not healed from it. So even if the neighbor is sent, she's not seen that way. She's seeing the neighbor through the eyes of the abuse she experienced as a child. So childhood trauma. Another one is personal perception, mindset. We just have different mindsets. We get information from social media, random advice and all of that. They just shape our mindset and will bring it into parenting. You see somebody says today, okay, my child is learning coding, and the next thing you're on your heels to start registering your child for coding, and another parent is saying, no, calm down, let's do it one at a time. And tomorrow you come back to see somebody saying, oh, my child is doing this, and you are just running on your heels again, trying to. So align yourself, not even having your own vision as a parent, individual parent. So it means you are going to allow every Tom, Dick, and Harry to have access to your mental state when it comes to parenting your child, and you are likely going to just do random things like that. The baba of it all is temperament. Our temperament has a way of affecting every single thing we do. Our parenting is not excluded. Yes. We have different temperaments. You have the sanguine. A sanguine parent is likely going to be a parent who is so. You want to check my book, Understanding Your Child, really. A sanguine parent is going to be a parent who wants the children, who just, they like fun. They like fun. They like to be seen as a cool person. So they'll do anything for their children to see them as cool and all of that. So if it even means indulging their children, if it even means making the children feel that the other parent is bad, just for them to feel the cool, because they want to be loved, they want to be the center of attention at all the time. So these things can actually affect parenting on the same page. Imagine you have a sanguine, you have a melancholic. A melancholic will say, okay, no, let's teach our children organizational skills. Let's teach them to be structured. They know what they are doing. The sanguine say, I believe these children alone. When they grow up, they will learn it by themselves. They just do their things randomly. Temperament plays a great role in not being on the same page, and effects of not being on the same page. If you are not on the same page with your spouse, you are going to have increased stress and tension in the house, disagreement, conflict all the time. Yes, it happens a great deal. Parents have different reasons they actually disagree, and when it comes to parenting, is one of the reasons. For many parents, when they get married and they are moving, they are going, their disagreement is minimal. As soon as the children start coming in, or the children start becoming independent, like the children start becoming, they start walking, they begin to grow, they're going to have more of disagreement. Just expect that as a parent, that if you and your spouse, you are not on the same page when it comes to parenting, as your children begin to grow older, you are bound to have more disagreements. For very many people, for some people rather, this disagreement can even lead to divorce. One person will feel the other person hate and doesn't really love the kids. No, it's not like that. Like we have shared. Excuse me. excuse me. Like I've shared. excuse me. Please excuse me. Like I've shared a couple of reasons why spouses are not on the same page. That is the reason why you and your spouse, they may disagree. know that your spouse and your the spouse doesn't like the children. So if you are a young couple, if you still have toddlers here, one of the things you want to do is to have the same, is to be on the same page with your spouse. Because if you are not, when it comes to school, when it comes to your children, begin to, a parent reach out one day saying that a mom that the spouse, the husband, the children, she has two boys, they are highly active, very highly active, they run about the house, they always destroy things, and the husband blames her for it. That is it. If the husband understands that, hey, it's not the wife's fault, to, you know, if he understands, he will not blame her for it. So one of the things you really want to do is, as you grow in your parenting, please carry your spouse along. Carry your spouse along. If you don't carry your spouse along, there's every likelihood that you are always going to have tension. At some point, you have your relationship becomes strained. At some point, you feel isolated, you know, as if nobody cares, you are doing this alone. And guess what happens to this? Now, when the house is constantly tensed, I tell you, your kids will not have the time to bond. Because they will not have the time to bond, it will spiral into a major rivalry. It may not, they may not experience so much rivalry when they are small, really, but when they grow up, they just don't have that connection. They didn't have time to bond as children. They didn't have time to bond because the house was constantly tense. It is one of the major reasons of sibling rivalry. When the house is constantly tense, everyone is walking on eggshells, no one has time to bond. No, everybody wants to say, it's not me, oh, it's not me, oh. The one that knows that A did it, B becomes angry, A is lying. And if B gets smart, A says, you were the one that made me smart, you were the one that made me to be smart. And if B is someone with an unforgiving spirit, he will keep that one in his mind, and it's going, and it keeps adding to it. So when they become grown and independent, you just realize they don't have this connection is not there, and you are wondering, what did I not do right? What you did not do right is that in your home it was always heated up and there was no time to bond. Now when it comes to the children, what are the effects? I just mentioned the effect on parents. I said strained relationship, your kids will not have time to bond, feeling of isolation. Now when it comes to children will be confused. They are confused. Daddy says A, mommy says B. They are confused, and most of the time they now want to manipulate. I remember a parent was telling me one time that she tells her son that you can't take ice cream to bed, and the son will say, okay, don't worry, when daddy comes, daddy will give me. And the son will pretend to be sleeping. No, even if daddy comes back 10 p.m. from work, the son will go and meet the dad, and the dad will give the son the ice cream. I know she always got angry. She's always got angry. So she just felt, oh, I can't tell this boy something. I can't talk to this boy. He doesn't obey me. Why? Because the dad will always come and then give in to what the boy wants. And the man is a sanguine. Oh, it doesn't matter. Let him have ice cream and all of that. So children will always manipulate the system. That is it. When you have children who understand, children even try to do it. I remember my daughter especially, if she asks for something, I say no, she'll go and ask her dad, and her dad will say, what did mommy say? She said, mommy said no, so my no is no. Now imagine that she tried it a couple of times, not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, very many times. If she asks for a favor, I don't give her. The next thing, she will keep quiet, and after a while she sees her daddy, she goes to her daddy to ask for the same thing. So to see if her daddy will give her. So that kind of a child now can play one parent against the other. That is it. Missed messages and it can make a child not respect the other parent's authority. They will just want to bypass that parent, just leave her and go to the parent that is always giving in. And you know that you are a parent, two parents for a reason. If you are not in the picture, or if you go for a long travel or something, what does that mean? It simply means that the other child will not be resentful towards the other spouse who is trying to instill discipline or create a structure. Now these are the effects it has on a child. I said inconsistency. Yes, it means you will not have a structure. If you are not on the same page with your parent, your spouse, you are likely not going to have a structure, because you say one thing, the other parent says another thing. That is not structure. That is inconsistency. The child also will be able to manipulate you. If the child is smart and manipulative, they will take advantage of that. Before you know what is happening, the child is manipulating you. The child always get conflicting messages about rules, about values and everything. So the child can easily just meet the parent who is more lenient, or the child can even just do anything they like, knowing that one particular parent will likely going to let them off the hook. Then parental authority, for the parent who is want to be strict, the child may not respect the parent's authority and all of that. And one thing that happens, it also leads to parents, tension among parents. And for some children who are very emotional, they may begin to feel guilty. When parents are not on the same page, they may begin to feel guilty. Because of my parents always fighting. I've seen situations where parents divorce and the child blames himself that, oh, why my parents divorced and why my parents got a divorce. So that situation, the child can actually feel guilty. So let's go into what we are really here for: how to get your spouse along. Visionary parent, are you still here? If you are here, you are learning, please drop in the comment section one thing you have picked from this class. If you're not a visionary parent, so also do well to drop in the comment section one thing you have picked from this class. Now, if you are new to this channel, Parenting with Enemy or Rebel, you want to subscribe, you want to like, and you want to share, just copy the link, share on your platforms, alumni groups, church groups, school groups, and all of that. And your other groups you belong to, tell them that there's something happening, there's value, free value in this group. Now, this class is brought to you by the Visionary Parent Academy. It's an academy where parents with a vision come together, they get empowered, they learn practical steps to actually walk the path that leads to their vision. The Visionary Parent Academy is an academy it must be for every parent. It's not just, oh, I'm learning how to actually sell what I have. I'm learning to convince you. So I'm not doing justice to what we do in the Visionary Parent Academy. So let's go to how to get your spouse along. One of the first things you want to do as a parent is to be sure, super sure of what you want, of what you are doing. Now, this is why in the Visionary Parent Academy, the first thing we started with is you creating your own vision. You sit down by yourself, create your vision. That was our task for January. You need to understand, even you as a parent, you need to know what you want, because sometimes you don't even know. Maybe somebody says something on the internet, you pick it, another person says something on the street, your child's school, you just pick all of them. At the end of the day, you cannot even defend it. You cannot even articulate them. No, as a parent, you need to sit down and be sure of exactly what you want. What do you want as a parent? Then you need to look at what areas do you have, do you not agree with your spouse? What areas? We have more than one area. Like I showed you, I listed the areas we always have, we have issues, we don't agree. Screen time, it can also be religion activities or practices, bedtime, discipline, school, extracurricular, a lot of them. If you miss that part, please go back to the beginning of this video and watch. So there are so many areas where we do not agree. So you want to take your time and sit down and know those areas you do not agree with your spouse. Yes. Then after noting the areas you don't agree with your spouse, you need to be realistic. You need to look at them. Why don't you agree? What is your spouse's position in this area? And what is your position in this area? You want to be reasonable. What is your spouse's position and what is your position? If you cannot be sure that your spouse's position is if you are not sure that, okay, maybe your position is reasonable, your spouse's position is reasonable, you actually want to consult someone, a neutral person, to let you know if your spouse's position is the reasonable one or your position is the reasonable one, because you need to be sure of what you are doing. You are not just doing anything randomly. You are not just saying, oh, I want to influence my spouse. I want him to do everything I say, or everything that it comes to parenting. I want him to know. Your spouse may actually be more parenting inclined, maybe more reasonable than you in parenting. So you need to be sure exactly what you want. You need to be sure of your spouse's positions regarding what you want. You also need to be sure of your positions regarding what you want. You need to be sure that, okay, what are the you need to be sure the factors that influence your spouse's position and the factors that influence your own position. Those are the very first thing you want to do. So you want to create your vision. That's the next thing you want to do. You want to create your vision before you even go into or you want to create your vision. You want to see, okay, these things I complain about, how do they impact my vision, or how do they affect my vision? That is the first thing you want to do. That's the next thing you want to do. After identifying all of that, then you now bring out your vision as a parent. What is even my vision? Okay, these things I'm complaining about, my spouse is saying this, I'm saying this, how does it impact my vision? You want to do that. You want to note, the next thing you want to do is to note your spouse area of strength. This is very important. Now, note your spouse area of strength. The thing is, a lot of people, they know too much. Yes, you know too much. You want to be master of it all. So you don't give your spouse you don't give your spouse room for some things. So because of that, your spouse may think you are taking them for a fool. So they may always want to um, antagonize you, or always want to not see reasons with you. Imagine when it comes to finances, you know how to, you have more, you know it too much. When it comes to church, you know it too much. When it comes to school, you want to have all the suggestions. When it comes to shopping for the children, you want to have all the suggestions. When it comes to taking your children out for a holiday, or going for excursion or extracurricular activities, you know it too much. Every single thing, when it comes to every single thing, you want to have the say. You know it too much. If you don't you don't consult, you don't feel your spouse know enough to be able to contribute. For that reason, it doesn't know. You don't know everything. Everybody has area of specialty. You may be super good at something, your spouse may be super good at another thing. Upbringing, temperament, they play a great role in all of these things. So what do you want to do? Note your spouse's area of strength. Note your spouse's area of strength. When you note your spouse, let me share something with you, something that has kind of given me a kind of mindset change for a long time. When I listen to Cosmo Maduka, Kosharis, I've been talking about him for a long time now. The same way I talk about Ben Carson and what's her name again? Chimama Adechi. I've been talking about I think he's just the latest bug I caught. Okay, he said something when him and his wife, they got married newly. If his wife wrote market list for him, he would tell his wife, you want to go to the market, go and write market list. The wife will write a market list and present it to him. He'll look at the market list, he will know the items inside. If the wife is going to the market next week and she also writes another market list for him, he'll look at it and say, last week you bought vegetable oil, why are we buying vegetable oil this week? Last week you bought seasoning cubes, you couldn't have finished this week. What happened? Maduka, as a result of his upbringing, of his childhood, he is more financially prudent. Now, because both of them had a vision, they were working towards a common goal. The wife submitted to learning. She was submissive to his financial intelligence. If it's these days, you will see women, they'll put it on social media. My husband checks my husband has to vet my market list. And people will be telling her, that your husband is a very stingy man. He's a very stingy man. He's a very stingy man. Leave the marriage. He's a very leave the marriage. He's a very stingy man. That's what he will be saying. You see the women bringing it on social media. But because Charity Maduka knew exactly what she was doing, she knew that maybe as a person from born with a silver spoon, she didn't really have to she didn't have any wants, any need, she didn't have any struggle, kind of. So she didn't really have the time for money sense. But Maduka, who was a street child from when he was in grade 3 or less than, he knew how to manage finances, and that was how they were able to manage their finances together. At the end of the day, Koshari's Motors came, and the biggest farm in Nigeria has also come to stay. Courtesy of both of them. The wife is educated. I'm sure the wife also has had her own role. Maybe when they go out or to do one thing or the others, the wife will stand up and represent the company because she is educated. She will represent the company, while Cosmo will represent the money managing part of it. The wife was not perfect in an area. Cosmo was not perfect in the other area. Both of them brought their imperfections and brought their perfections, and it's easy for you to be on the same page with your spouse when you also let your spouse know that you are not ITK, you are not I know too much. You know some, you don't know some. Okay, the ones you know, bring it, and the ones I know, I'll bring it. I also read something about, is it Steve Covey? I think it's Steve Covey, the Stephen Covey, the author of is it 8 laws, 7 laws of effective people. You know, I think he's the one. He shared something about how him and his wife, they had to sell their car, you know, because the son was working away doing all sorts of manners. Then the son was growing, and the son was becoming was starting to misbehave. So the wife called him. They had to sell their car so that um they had to sell their car at some point. At some point, they didn't have a car. He didn't have a car because they sold the car for the family purpose. He had to come and join his wife so that he would be there for the children. That is parenting on the same page because they had the same priorities. I don't remember the story the story around him selling his car, but I know that he sold his car because they were on the same page. So what is my point is, you are not perfect. Your spouse is not perfect. Your spouse has its area of strength. You have your areas of strength. What do you want to do? You want to identify your spouse's area of strength, and be ready to submit to that area of strength. Even if you feel okay, his area of strength is, even in his area of strength, you are 80% in that area. He is 90, you are 80. Just submit to it. That way it is easy for him or her to also submit to your area of strength. So, and then be ready to be supportive. Ready to be supportive. After this is the like pre 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 pre-activity to the main trying to the main activity of carrying your spouse along. I said, be sure of what you need. Identify create your vision, your plan, and identify your patterns. Identify your spouse's area of strength. Identify your own area of strength, and be ready to be a support to your spouse. I use Cosmo Maduka as an example. So when you have done all of that to yourself, you keep that information to yourself. All that information is important because you don't want to go to your spouse and you start you are talking from a place of, you are not even convinced what you're saying. You don't even know what you're saying, because now you're going to have a meeting with your spouse officially. So you need to come loaded. You need to do your research, gather your information, and come from a place of knowledge. Then you call for a meeting about the important topic of carrying your spouse along. You start by appreciating your spouse. Yes, appreciating your spouse and everything. You know that. Not complain, not what is it called? The book we're reading this month said, don't complain, don't criticize, be lavish in approbation and something in praise. You know, something in praise and lavish in approbation. So you are not going to complain. You are just going to acknowledge your spouse, because your spouse cannot be you cannot disagree with you in every aspect. So the aspect you agree with you, the aspect he has made parenting easy for you, smooth, you appreciate your spouse in that area. Excuse me. As long as you share your vision, we have a class on parenting with a vision. You need to go to that class and see how you can create your vision. I don't want to go into all of that. If you're a visionary parent, if you are in the Visionary Parent Academy, we have an ebook for it. You also have the video class for it. Then you have, I think we also have the worksheet for it. So you can use that. You actually want to, now you have created your vision, you want to look at the vision with your spouse. Now both of you will look at your vision together. Do you agree? You are likely going to have the same vision. You want children who are successful. You want world changers. You want change agents. You are likely going to have the same vision. Successful children. Because I have never seen a parent who doesn't want a child to succeed. So you are likely going to have the same vision of success for your children. Now, When you share your vision and you both have the same vision, you identify your differences. What don't you agree about? Because after sharing your vision, having the same vision, you are going to break your vision down into values, into behavioral everyday behaviors or everyday patterns. Then you are going to identify the differences. What do you agree, what don't you agree as a spouse? For example, if you say, okay, one of your visions is, I want my children to be successful in XYZ or something, you realize that self-discipline is one major tool for success, whether we like it or not. I saw a video online of a Nollywood costumier who lodged in a hotel. I think he had a project, he was doing a project in Asaba. He lodged in a hotel, and a woman on transit with her 10-year-old child, they lodged in the same hotel. The woman went downstairs to pick something. By the time the woman got back, the woman saw traces of blood, and she got into the hotel room, and he saw the Nollywood costumier forcing himself on the 10-year-old, and I think the 10-year-old was screaming. I don't know. That's what I imagine, just imagine, he may have been a very successful costumier at the end of the day. Just look at what is happening to him now. This is it. So you know that for your child to be successful, they need self-discipline. So you want to now break it down to, okay, how do we teach our children self-discipline? You want to trace it down to, I always tell my children, okay, for example, don't eat in between meals, because I'm teaching you self-discipline. Don't eat in between meals. You're supposed to eat anytime you like. You tell your spouse that is a reflection of that shows that self-discipline is not in place. So letting children just do anything they like anytime, no, they should be able to have self-control. There are things they want to do. If it's not that urgent, if their lives don't depend on it, they do not have to do it. They can actually wait and do it next time. They can actually wait and do it at the right time. So you want to begin to have that conversations with your spouse, because the truth of the matter is they may not even have known. They may not even have traced it down to that. So that's why I say you break it down into everyday pattern. So you want to identify your differences. Okay, me, I'm saying they only take one bottle of snacks and a fixed drink a day. Their life does not depend on it now. You say they can drink as they like. I say they should turn off television at this particular time. You say they can watch television till midnight. You begin to identify those differences and how they impact your vision. How everyday practice in your family, everyday patterns in your family impact your vision at the end of the day. You want to look at that. Then you want to share your concerns. Yes, you want to share your concerns. These are the things we are doing: over parenting, overindulging, and all of that. You want to share your concerns. Then you want to share your choice of style. What is your choice of style? What are your suggestions? Not that you are just talking about this and all of that. What are your suggestions? You share your suggestions, and then after sharing your suggestions, you are going to show proof. Yes, because your spouse may say, it doesn't matter, then you look for proof. You have people whose life stories, who have shared their life stories. For example, let's look at Ben Carson, for example. Maybe your spouse is always saying, let them watch television, it doesn't matter, let them watch television, it doesn't matter. You want to tell him that one of the things that actually helped Ben Carson and his brother was when their mom cut down their television. She was working in houses for big people, and then she realized that big people's lifestyle, they were not always watching television, rather they were always reading. So she came back to her house and made her children also minimize television and read more, and that was one of the things that actually transformed their life, that made them more interested in academics. And today Ben Carson will forever remain the best neurosurgeon ever. You want to show your spouse proof. Now, this is why research is an integral part of the Visionary Parents Academy. You want to show your spouse proof. Then you also want to talk about your child's temperament and how it's playing a role in what you are doing. Now, this is why I said you are not going to talk to your spouse from an empty space. you are going to research, know exactly what you are doing, and talk to them and have this conversation with them loaded. You are not just going to sit down and be talking to them. You will do your research. Be sure of what you want. That was the first thing I emphasized on. Be sure of what you want. Then you ask questions. So you have spent time explaining, yet you have not said exactly what you want. Say exactly what you want, and don't conclude until they understand already. That's the next thing you do. You listen patiently. Your spouse concerns and everything. One of the things you need to know is that your child's upbringing, your child's temperament and pressure will play a long role. So you actually um have your spouse share with you their own part of the whole thing, their whole part. This is where you come to bring your vision. If they are coming with arguments, you don't really need to argue. You just, let me give you a practical example. If the issue is discipline, now your spouse believes that if you don't beat a child, your child will not behave, and you believe that you don't have to beat a child to behave. So what you want to do is you tell your child, oh, you tell your spouse, okay, since we don't agree on this thing, give me time to show myself, give me time to prove that I can actually parent, we can actually get our children to cooperate without beating. Just give me 2 weeks, give me 3 weeks. These 3 weeks, don't beat, don't yell, leave everything to me. Let me be the one in charge of the parenting. At the end of these 2 weeks, if our children are able to behave without us beating them, you will come to buy my idea that we don't need to beat to parent. So that is about the last step. Now the final step I want to share is that you will need to support your spouse as a woman, as a mom. For example, if you leave all the bills to your spouse, now remember, you remember that pressure is one of the reasons your spouse may not be on the same page with you. They will be random because they are always pressured. So what you want to do is to get up and get to work, get something doing, to be able to reduce the financial pressure on your spouse. That way they can be with you on the same page. If their financial pressure is not reduced, they cannot be with you on the same page, because pressure, no matter what you say to them, no matter the vision, no matter the everything, it is pressure that is making them not being, and that is making them random. It is pressure it is pressure that is making them random. And as long as that pressure is not taken away, they are going to remain random. So you want to help reduce that pressure. Let's talk about the woman again. If the woman is the one that is so carrying all the domestic chores, everything at home front, taking care of the child, doing school run, home front, the woman is going to be so pressured. You are on the same page for the love of Christ. You don't want your wife to break down. This is why you need to look at our vision. Go to the video on parental division and see. For example, you want, like I say to my husband, I envision our old age when we are all together. You are still driving, we get to the door, I see come down, I see open the gate, we drive in together. Then we have our children come home for Christmas reunion with with their children, which is our grandchildren. They come with their spouses and all of that. We are by the pool house and things like that. It simply means that if this is our vision, I need to be healthy, I need to be sane. So which means if my spouse, my husband, is ready for me to be healthy and sane, for that he needs to realize that, okay, all the house chores are going to overwhelm me. I do house chores, I do school runs, I go to work. It is literally going to overwhelm me, and it will break me so much that I may not even be able to get there. So we may not be able to realize our vision at the end of the day, because then if I break down, if anything happens to me, I will not be part of the picture again. Now this is why having your vision together is very, very important. Now this is why your vision is not just your family vision is not just about your child. It's also about you as a couple. Go to our video on living a visionary life or something. So living a visionary life, you will learn more about vision. So that's all of that about carrying your husband, your spouse along. So at the end of the day, you want to together create your family structure. After you have agreed on everything, you've talked about it, you created your vision, you've identified the patterns, you said, okay, these are where I've fallen short, these are where you have fallen short, let's come together. Now this is the new thing we are going to be doing as a family. You want to create a structure so that you can be consistent. You want to have discipline structure. You want to have TV structure. You want to have meal structure. You want to have visitor structure. You want to have every single structure. We have it in this academy. Don't worry, you are going to get a book on my parenting structure. You're also going to get a book on my family constitution. They're all part of what I promised myself that I was going to help you, empower you with, to get you further empowered. So you are going to have these structures where both of you are working on the same page. Now you have the same page, you sit down and create the structure together. That is it. Your spouse says, okay, TV time is 8:30, TV time is 7 o'clock, the family time is 7 to 8. After that, everybody goes to bed, or the kids go to bed. Then you and I, as my husband, as my wife, can have an extra time for another 1 hour before we go to bed. That is the family structure, and everybody has to be part of it. Discipline, the same thing. You have to talk about discipline, structure. They are all the structures you have to create. At the end of the day, after all the meetings and all of that, you create your structure. Then your children are better adjusted. Your children, when you have a structure and you and your spouse are on the same page, you realize that your parenting will be so different. Your children will be better adjusted, they will be better behaved. Your children will not manipulate anyone. It is easy for them to learn, it is easy for them to cooperate, it is easy for them to behave when you and your spouse are on the same page. That is just the simple truth. It's like you are speaking the same language, they are speaking the same language. And if you have visitors, people around you in your house that come for holidays or something, they see your structure, they see your constitution, they are speaking the same language. It's easy for everyone, it's easy for your child to actually behave. Imagine if you say no particular TV channel to be watched in this house, and your spouse say that TV channel is sacrosanct, don't watch it. Maybe you have people living with you, they also say, okay, that's the house rule, no TV channel, don't watch that TV channel. What do you think will happen? Your child will not be tempted to even watch it, they will just leave it, because they know that everybody that comes around is going to say no to them. But when they know that daddy will say yes, mommy will say no, so they are going to wait for the parent who will say yes to come and grant them the yes. So I hope you've learned something today. If you have learned something, please do well to let me know. Thank you so much for joining. It's already 10:30. Whoa, I didn't know time had gone this far. Thank you so much for joining today. Next Friday, hopefully we have another live class. Courtesy of the Visionary Parent Academy. Enimere Boy is my name, and I am the lead coach at the Visionary Parent Academy. If you have not joined us, you are missing. You are missing. You are missing. You are missing. You are on a long thing. If you join us, we do a lot there. We do a lot there to empower parents to be on the same page. We do a lot to empower parents to parent with the vision and parent intentionally. Thank you so much. The conversation continues in the WhatsApp group. Bye.